The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled Emma's senses. It was a familiar comfort, a ritual she cherished every morning. The rich scent of the beans, the warmth of the cup in her hands, it all brought a sense of calm and peace. She sat by the window, watching the world rush by. People hurried past, each lost in their own lives, their own stories. The hustle and bustle outside contrasted sharply with the serene atmosphere inside the cafe. She thought about her past relationships. Each one had left its mark. Some good, some not. Memories flooded her mind, some bringing a smile, others a pang of regret. She wondered if she had made the right choices, if she had learned from her mistakes. Her fingers traced the rim of her mug, lost in thought. The simple act was soothing, grounding her in the present moment. She found solace in these small, repetitive motions, a way to anchor herself amidst the chaos of her thoughts.
Phone buzzes. Wedding next month. Remember David and Jessica? You have to come. The message was unexpected, pulling her out of her reverie. She hadn't thought about David and Jessica in a while, and the idea of their wedding brought a mix of emotions.
Sarah's message brought a smile to Emma's face. She remembered the fun times they had shared, the laughter and the camaraderie. It was a reminder of the bonds that had stood the test of time, despite the distance and the years. Weddings were always bittersweet, a reminder of love found and sometimes lost. They were a celebration of new beginnings, but also a reflection on what had been and what could have been. Emma felt a twinge of sadness, but also a glimmer of hope.
Typing. Are you sure it's okay if I come alone? She hesitated before sending the message, unsure of how it would be received. The thought of attending a wedding alone was daunting, but she didn't want to miss out on the celebration.
Of course, it wouldn't be the same without you. Sarah's response was immediate and reassuring. Emma felt a wave of relief wash over her. She knew she had friends who cared, who wanted her there no matter what.
Emma hesitated for a moment, then hit send. The decision was made. She would go, despite her reservations. It was a step forward, a chance to reconnect, and maybe even find some closure.
I wouldn't miss it for the world. Her voice was filled with determination. She was ready to face whatever came her way, to embrace the future with open arms.
The thought of attending a wedding alone was daunting. The idea of being surrounded by couples, of facing the inevitable questions, was intimidating. But she knew she had to do it for herself. Yet, there was a flicker of excitement. Maybe this time, things would be different. Maybe this time she would find the closure she needed, or perhaps even a new beginning. The possibilities were endless, and for the first time in a long while, she felt hopeful. The gymnasium pulsed with music and laughter, a vibrant heartbeat of youthful energy and joy. Balloons and streamers transformed the space into a magical wonderland, a place where dreams felt tangible and the night seemed endless. It was the annual Spring Fling, a cherished tradition that brought the entire school together in celebration. A young Emma, radiant in a blue dress that shimmered under the lights, stood nervously at the edge of the dance floor, her heart racing with anticipation. Ethan, her boyfriend and the star basketball player, gently took her hand, his touch reassuring and warm. His eyes sparkled with mischief and adoration, a look that always made her feel special and cherished.
Ready to dance? He asked, his voice filled with excitement and a hint of nervousness.
Emma laughed, her nervousness melting away like snow under the spring sun, replaced by a warm, bubbling joy. They moved together effortlessly, their bodies swaying in perfect harmony, as if they were the only two people in the world. The music faded into the background, becoming a soft, distant melody that underscored their moment. All that mattered was the warmth of his hand in hers, the way his gaze lingered on her face, filled with love and promise. That night, they promised each other forever, a vow made under the dim lights and the watchful eyes of the stars. They were young, naive, and deeply in love, believing that nothing could ever come between them. It was a love that felt as though it would last a lifetime, a love that seemed invincible and eternal in the glow of that magical night. The wedding ceremony was beautiful. Sunlight streamed through the stained glass windows, casting a warm glow over the happy couple. Emma watched, a bittersweet ache in her heart. As the ceremony ended and guests began to mingle, a familiar laugh sent a jolt through her. She turned, her breath catching in her throat. Standing across the room, looking as handsome as ever, was Ethan. Time seemed to stand still. Their eyes met across the crowded room, and a wave of emotions washed over them. Surprise? Disbelief? And a flicker of something deeper, something that had been buried for years. He walked towards her, a hesitant smile spreading across his face.
Emma, is that really you?
Laughs Ethan. I can't believe it's you.
They found a quiet corner on the patio, away from the wedding festivities. The years seemed to melt away as they talked. They reminisced about old times, shared stories of their lives, and laughed about shared memories. There was a comfortable familiarity between them, a bond forged in their youth. But there was also an undercurrent of sadness, the unspoken weight of their past.
I'm so sorry, Emma, for everything, for the way things ended between us.
I was young and foolish. We both made mistakes.
They sat in silence for a moment, each lost in thought. The past couldn't be changed, but perhaps there was a way to move forward.
You look beautiful. As the evening progressed, Emma and Ethan found themselves drawn to each other. They danced, they laughed, and for a few precious hours it felt like old times. The years apart seemed to fade away, and the spark that had once burned so brightly between them threatened to reignite.
Thank you.
The music stopped, and for a moment they just stood there, lost in each other's gaze. The air crackled with unspoken feelings, a mixture of hope, fear, and a deep, undeniable attraction. The connection they once shared was still there, buried beneath layers of time and hurt.
As the night drew to a close, Ethan walked Emma to her car. The air was cool, and a million stars twinkled in the night sky. They stood by her car, reluctant to say goodbye.
Can I call you?
I don't know, Ethan. The past is the past for a reason.
I know we hurt each other. But I've never stopped thinking about you, Emma. I've changed. I've grown. Give me a chance to prove it to you.
His words struck a chord deep within her. Could she allow herself to hope? Could they really have a second chance?
Emma looked into Ethan's eyes, searching for any trace of the boy who had broken her heart all those years ago. She remembered the nights she spent crying, the days she felt lost, and the moments she doubted herself. But now, standing in front of him, she saw something different. Instead, she saw a man, weathered by time and experience, but with a sincerity in his eyes that she couldn't deny. His face, though older, carried the marks of lessons learned and battles fought. There was a depth in his gaze that spoke of regret, but also of hope. She took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest. The air felt thick with unspoken words and unresolved emotions. She could feel the weight of the past pressing down on her, but also the promise of a future that could be different. Okay, you can call me. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper, but it carried the weight of her decision. It was a small step, but it felt monumental.
Relief washed over Ethan's face, and he couldn't help but smile. It was as if a heavy burden had been lifted off his shoulders. He had been waiting for this moment, hoping for a chance to make things right. It was a new beginning, a chance to rewrite their story. They both knew that their road ahead wouldn't be easy, but they were willing to try. They had been given a second chance, and they were determined to make the most of it. They both knew there would be challenges, obstacles to overcome. But they also knew that they were stronger together. Their past had shaped them, but it didn't have to define their future. But standing there under the starlit sky, they were filled with a sense of hope. The stars seemed to shine brighter, as if they were lighting the path ahead. It was a moment of clarity, a realization that they were ready to face whatever came their way. They had faced their past, acknowledged their mistakes, and were ready to take a leap of faith. Together, they would navigate the unknown hand in hand, heart to heart. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with promise and endless possibilities. Weeks turned into months. Emma and Ethan spent countless hours talking, laughing, and rediscovering each other. They rebuilt their foundation, brick by brick, this time with honesty, vulnerability, and a deep understanding of who they had become. They were no longer the naive teenagers they once were. They had loved, lost, and learned from their mistakes.
Emma, I love you. I never stopped.
I love you too, Ethan.
This time, it wasn't a promise of forever. It was a commitment to cherish each moment, to face the future together, stronger and more in love than ever before. They had been given a second chance, and they were determined to make the most of it.